Good afternoon, everyone. I will start again. I've just gone on with a 6-minute monologue. I will try to recapture the energy and the information as best I can. I want to thank everyone for joining us on this briefing today, on this wintry day in North Dakota. I want to start by sharing some information with you. It's been a while since I have started with the end in mind. We want to remind everyone that the mission, the end state goal for North Dakota Department of Public Instruction is to do what we can to help educational services get back to normal. We feel a little bit closer to that today as our second day of instruction across the state has been completed, and we want to remind everyone that our statement of intent of the department is to guide school districts with data-informed decisions so all students continue to learn and while keeping all North Dakota citizens safe and well. I want to start with one of the biggest questions and concerns and queries that we've been receiving at the Department of Public Instruction from teachers and administrators and principals. That question is regarding the April 15 deadline for teacher evaluations, principal evaluations, and assistant principal and superintendent evaluations. I understand that deadline is looming. I've had several conversations with teachers and principals as well as district administrators giving me their advice and their insight on how we best might be able to move forward with that. I shared with all of you a few days ago and last week as well that request has been put on the list that we have sent to the governor's office about 2 weeks ago to address in an executive order. So the governor's office is very well aware of this request by the Department of Public Instruction to review and analyze the best way forward for that. The governor's office does understand the urgency of this as we look at the calendar date of April 2nd and the looming date of April 15th. I want to inform you that I just completed a meeting with the governor's office and the governor's legal counsel regarding this issue, and they are very well aware of the urgency. They have asked some very thoughtful questions as the governor determines the best way to address this issue and the best path forward for both our probationary teachers and our non-probationary teachers, two separate categories that two areas of Century Code address. So I will do my best to keep you as informed as possible as we move along that path and the governor makes those decisions about that executive order addressing teacher evaluations. I will keep you as posted as I possibly can. I also want to address an issue that came up as a question to our department regarding student enrollment that is new into our district. Just to clarify, if a student moves into a district during school closure or what we're under now, the distance learning implementation, that district is responsible for offering that student's educational services. The governor did not waive this. The enrollment process has not changed. It remains as it was before, considering, though, that unique hygienic or social distancing processes may need to be implemented for that new student and their family. However, the social distancing and the exceptional hygienic procedures that we must go through should not hinder the enrollment process, and school districts are responsible for creating these procedures. I encourage our school districts to use the EduTech teams for continuation of idea sharing on how school districts might be including these social distancing process into their enrollment procedures. The student should be entered into PowerSchool or the other enrollment software, as well as being included in STARS to ensure that we calculate proper ADM for the students that you are educating for this school year. The district and child's teacher would then communicate the distance learning process to the parent and the student and continue with the education of that new student. I have some good news about the CARES Act. Yesterday, we had shared some information about the funding deadline for expenditures for the Student CARES Act for our school districts that are receiving the relief money through the recently passed CARES Act. Originally, we had been informed that the expenditure deadline was December 31st, 2020, and we were concerned about that being a short deadline and not having enough time to be thoughtful and deliberate about how to spend those dollars. Yesterday, we got even more concerned when we were informed that there would be a September 30 deadline 2020. What we realized was, what we've learned is that was a typo. In fact, it's not a September 30, 2020 deadline, but a September 30, 2021 deadline. This provides a lot more opportunity and room for districts to be thoughtful, analytical about where they may have incurred some extra costs and overruns due to the COVID-19 virus. And so just some good news there. I want to talk about the transportation dollars. It's been a while since we've discussed those. As you all know, the current formula does not allow transportation reimbursement for what we are currently using our transportation dollars for the delivery of school meals. So there's been concern about schools not getting paid for the delivery, the transportation costs that they are incurring for the delivery of instructional materials, and that very important child nutrition out to our students during this time. Because the transportation dollars are based on last year's numbers, and now that students, per pupil rides of students aren't being calculated, how are we going to determine that for next year's budget? And as you are all beginning to think about next year's budget, there has been some concern about what will be used. So schools, you should know, the legislature could provide some relief when they meet in 2021, and there could be an opportunity for the governor to provide an executive order on this as well. At this point, we understand the concerns. We want to make sure that these school districts that are providing these transportation services for food and instructional materials, that they are kept whole, and we want to assure you that DPI, Adam Tesher, Don Williams, the executive team of Lori, Matsky, Donna, Fishbeck, and I are all continuing to have conversations with the governor about this. So please know that that has not fallen off our radar and remains a priority of ours as well. All North Dakota public and non-public schools should be implementing their approved district distance learning plans. And we all understand that some things written on paper sometimes get a little harder to implement in practice. So we're understanding of that. We'll expect that. If district leaders find that the practices that have been written in these plans cannot be implemented as exactly as they are written, and you find that you need to tweak or adjust or accommodate to be responsive of your local needs, however, you don't dramatically change the plan, or there is no need to dramatically change the plan entirely or start over, please don't do that. Use your expertise, your professional experience as an educator, and just do what's best for your school district, your students, and their families. I encourage you to have conversations with your teachers, parents, students themselves to gather input, collaborate with your educational peers on best practices that they have been implemented, have conversations with us about what went well this week, what needs to be changed, what you thought was going to be delivered with perfection and is yet falling apart in front of your noses. Please just acknowledge that we're all in this together. When the document, if you have any changes to your document, please know that we're here and willing to accept those, and we can update those at any time. Currently, as I mentioned yesterday, DPI has pivoted, and we're working on vetting and sharing academic resources, utilizing both public and public Microsoft Teams space and the North Dakota OER Commons site, working with a wide variety of academic partners to make sure that we are providing you now the support that you need for the implementation rather than the technical assistance on writing the plan. Child nutrition again, all schools were contacted regarding serving meals during school closures and their agreements. Policy statements and distribution plans are requested. As with yesterday, there are still even fewer schools left to submit the required documentation. If you haven't yet done that, please work with Linda Schler and that team. The question and answer session that was held every Tuesday and Thursday this week, or was held Tuesday and Thursday of this week, has been suspended as we have transitioned to meeting with NDCEL leaders during one of their meetings at noon at this time. I will be joining the NDCEL superintendents and administrators at their noon meeting on Wednesday, and will be attending on an as-needed basis if I need to attend more than that because there are more questions. So happy to do so to make sure that you are having all your questions answered. I've reached out to the North Dakota School Boards Association because some of those members or representatives attended those Tuesday, Thursday calls. I will be having a call with school board leaders via Alexis Baxley and her association once a week, and have extended that same opportunity to our teacher association leaders, and have made myself available to any and all calls that our teachers and paraprofessionals and our ancillary staff may want to have with me to answer their questions via ND United. So at this time, until further need arises, we will be suspending the Q&A every Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will be retaining the evening briefing that has traditionally been begun at 5:30 every evening. We will be moving this 5:30 briefing to 3 p.m. We will be moving this briefing that generally occurs or has occurred at 5:30 since the COVID event began to 3 p.m. daily. Patty Carmichael will send out a new constant contact, and with the new time, we're hoping that this will be as accommodating for all of you, possibly even more accommodating for many of you, as a 3 p.m. The governor announced today that he will be moving his daily press briefings to 3:30. So it should allow all of us to receive a K-12 briefing at 3, be concluded by 3:30 to tune in to the governor's press conference at 3:30. One thing that I wanted to share with all of you, have had lots of national conversation. There are many states that have now posted their guidance. I know Wyoming has put out a press release today that all 48 of their school districts, all of their plans for remote learning have been approved by their state Department of Public Instruction and their governor's office. New Hampshire has completed their process. Utah is in the middle of reviewing the plans. New Mexico is in a similar process. There were several others that, South Carolina, that shared their guidance today. So all of that guidance is now out and available, and similar districts, our districts are doing similar processes that North Dakota has concluded this week as we speak across the nation. So thank you all for giving us a 100% effort. I'm in a little bit of a competition with Wyoming, and so it's kind of long-standing. I'm glad when they hit the 100% mark that North Dakota can say that we hit our 100% approval mark as well. So we'll see how the other states measure up if all of their school districts are receiving the approval of their plans as well. So thank you for keeping us in the top tier, and our pride continues to grow. The last thing that I want to say is I think we've all recognized the importance of our classroom teachers, and we've all probably recognized some heroic efforts. And so now is a good time for me to announce that we've extended the Teacher of the Year nomination and application form to May 8th. So if you know of a teacher, or you have a teacher that teaches down the hall from you, down the road from you, or you are that teacher, please consider recognizing and honoring the greatness of education, the greatness of teaching, and either nominate yourself or submit an application for one of your peers. We have significantly streamlined the application process this year for the first round of Teacher of the Year applications. We'll be recognizing a teacher, hopefully, from every county in North Dakota. I would like to come out and personally recognize and honor a teacher in every one of our counties in the state. And with that, we've extended the deadline. One thing that has come out of this pandemic is a greater understanding of the important role that K-12 education plays in not only science, math, and reading of our young people, but truly of the wholeness of support that we provide all of our students in our K-12 education system and their families. The symbiotic need for students, educators, and families to work together has never been felt more deeply and more consistently each day. So amid all of this chaos, if you can take the time to submit an application or a nomination for you as a great teacher yourself, or for one of your colleagues or peers or your mentors, please consider doing that. I'd love to recognize so many of our teachers this year. Thank you so much. And with that, have a good day, stay safe, and wash your hands.